So the question I have tonight is, what do you have to offer? I think this is a question that plagues many of us throughout our lives. I think that trying to resolve this question, or trying to demonstrate what special thing we have to offer, fills up a lot of our time. It certainly fills up a lot of our conversation. How often when we're talking are we really trying to demonstrate our value? How often when we're talking are we trying to explain how somehow I matter, I am different, I am special? But don't get me wrong, I actually don't think that this urgency comes from a feeling of superiority or highness in any way. Quite the contrary. I think that through our upbringing and in our culture, many of us, if not all of us, are burdened with a constant sense or feeling of inadequacy, of brokenness, of somehow, no matter what we do or what we say, we're just simply not enough. And so we spend so much of our time pursuing the things that we think will complete us if only we could just have that, or get that, or be there, or accomplish that. Or we spend our time running away from something that we think is the whole problem, or part of the problem, or a significant portion of the problem. And if we could just get away from it, then we could be whole, or complete, or pure. Check it out. With the awareness that you develop through Zen practice, pay attention to what's coming out of your mouth. Pay attention to the activities that you engage in throughout the day. How many of these activities touch on or are entirely rooted in this practice of trying to prove ourselves worthwhile, worthy? The beauty, the real gift or perfection, if you like, of Zen practice is in this silent being. We have this opportunity to just be here. We set up this room, and all of these people come together to prepare an environment in which we can simply sit. Nobody wants to hear how wonderful you are. Nobody wants you to do something to demonstrate how wonderful you are. The foundation of Zen practice, the foundation of Buddhism, is this realization that just as you are, already you are complete. There's nothing to say about it. There's nothing you need to do to prove it. There's nowhere you need to go. There's nothing you need to accomplish. And there's nothing you need to avoid. Just as you are in this moment, you're already complete. You are already whole. You are already enough. But that is easy to say. It's easy for me to say. And as we sit here, the practice is simply to dissolve into the experience of being complete. The practice is simply to dissolve into the experience of already being home in this moment, in this activity, in this cosmos. Not separate. Nothing lacking. Complete, whole, perfect, upheld, supported, and embraced by all things in this vast cosmos. This isn't something that you have to earn. It's not something that after you've walked 1,000 miles and climbed 100 mountains and sat for 100 years, you finally will accomplish completion. Already, you are complete, but you don't realize it. This is the whole teaching of Buddhism in a nutshell. When we talk about awakening, when we talk about realization, when we talk about the perfection of wisdom, these aren't things that you have to accomplish. They're not things that you have to add into your vacuous, empty self. They're not something that if you just clear away the horrid taint that you carry around with you, you'll have it. Already, this is your complete reality. Wholeness, oneness. The opportunity that's presented by Zazen is to little bit by little bit allow yourself to come to know this for yourself. I can say it over and over and over again. You are complete. You are whole. You are enough. But in each and every one of your thoughts, and in each and every one of your actions, and each and every one of your conversations, we affirm this brokenness, this delusion, this illusion, this fundamental mistake of brokenness. It's not just the individual I, but it is that we uphold that there is such a thing as this individual I. As soon as we take ourselves as being somehow separate, somehow apart from this world, this activity, this cosmos, as soon as we become a thing in our own minds, we step away from the completeness of this cosmos. And just as we become one thing, we become deficient of all of the other innumerable things in this cosmos. When we hang on to the one-sided view of I, with all that there is in this universe, how can we ever be complete? We can pursue this and we can pursue that, and for a moment we can grasp it. But in the very next moment we see the innumerable things that we don't have. And again we find ourselves suffering, inadequate, not enough. This practice that we're engaged in, Zazen, Zen meditation, is simply the activity of pouring ourselves entirely into the unfolding activity of this moment. Not having to do anything, but to simply crack open the shell of self and pour our hearts back into the vessel of this cosmos, back into the completion of this universe, so that we can know it for ourselves. There isn't so much to talk about. This isn't a philosophy class. It's not a class for our minds, our brains, our conceptual thinking mind. This is an experiential activity which is pointed directly at our heart. I think that it's very easy for us to know that we're intimately related to this cosmos, to this world, to each other. It's easy for us to understand that our actions impact others and others impact ours. But to know this, to experience this deeply in every fiber, is something else entirely, and is the basis of transformation. So when we come here, we can say that we're doing Zen meditation. We can say that we're sitting. We can say that we're walking. We can say that we're chanting. We can say that we're doing a million things in an intensive, that we're working, or that we're whatever. But in essence, when we're engaged in Zen practice, what we are engaged in is the immersion, the dissolution in the vast completion of the cosmos that is our origin, our birthright, our home, our true home. When we look at it from the perspective of self, we can see innumerable variations throughout the day. Conversations and activities. But when we view this practice from the perspective of the Absolute, there is only one thing to do. There is only one thing to do. There is only one place to be. Our practice is to be here completely, throwing away the concerns about past and future, and to dissolve completely into what's unfolding before us right now. The reminder that I have for this is always just this simple word, zazen. Zazen is the Japanese transliteration of the word jhana. Jhana is a Sanskrit word, and often in our culture it is translated as meditation. But this is wrong. Meditation was a convenient word that we understood from a religio-philosophical perspective already. So lacking experience in jhana, when it came to translating, people said, oh, it must be like meditation. The word meditate means essentially to think about. In some ways, I can't think of a worse word to use to translate zazen, jhana. When we look at the word and what it means absorption. That's the closest English translation, absorption. I like dissolution, immersion. As we sit, we allow this artificial construct of self that we've created between inside and outside to melt away. We allow the boundaries that we have put up between all of the so-called independent objects in the world to melt away. we are absorbed into our original home. We are absorbed into our origin. When we do this through practice, it's very easy to lose this sense of separateness. We begin to know for ourselves that we are one with this vast cosmos. This nagging doubt of inadequacy gradually begins to slip away, because when we realize that when we hold out our hand to offer, when we open our heart to offer, it isn't just this fixed I that offers. When we take up this posture and sit, we don't sit on our own. When we raise our voice and chant, we realize that it's not just our voice that is chanting, but it is this entire cosmos manifesting through us as the activity of sitting or chanting or offering in any way. How can this ever not be enough? So, these are a bunch of nice words for you to investigate. But in the end, they're just words. You need to take up this posture. You need to take up this practice. You need to take up this investigation for yourself and find out if it is so. Realize this and experience it for yourself.